Hi, welcome to the American Athletic Preview. This is Darren from Sim Nation. Four good teams, 7 games against each other. SMU, Tulane, Houston, and East Carolina are all top 20 rosters. They play each other 7 times. At least 2 of them are finishing with 3 or more losses, and that's why this conference is probably getting nobody into the playoffs. Let's start in the East Division. East Carolina is the big dog in the American Athletic. A lot of people want to predict that they will win this division on the perimeter. Wide receiver John Garrett is an elite receiver with elite hands. And then you have Kearney, who's another elite receiver with elite hands. Throw in Vincent Crow at corner, who has elite speed, 4 free safeties averaging above average. And then quarterback Earl Rich with his accurate throwing arm and his intelligence, yet he lacks an arm, but he doesn't need to throw it 40 yards with those 2 winning underneath. 6-2 comes from being better than 4 of their 5 division opponents and splitting the crossovers. The 4 losses are Auburn out of the conference, plus potentially games at Army, Houston, and then one that they shouldn't drop. Coming in at number 2 is a team that will probably shock a couple people, and one of the few times that I actually made a change from what the CPU model said. Coming at number 2 is Army. Army had a magical run last season with a team that honestly most people thought wouldn't even make the field. Unlike other teams though, they just got stronger despite losing most of their cornerback room. They won't run the ball well, but they did close the one gap that they had, which was around defensive tackle. So they should be stronger against the run, which is what a lot of teams did to them last year when they realized that they couldn't stop the run. The real question for Army is going to be at quarterback. Does Damon Church start the transfer? Or do they go with the guy who got them 10 wins last season, Norman Mays? We won't know that until the first week plays out, but this is a team that has only got stronger. The only concern with them being able to get to 10 wins again this season is a lot of their action against big teams is on the road. In week 5, they have to travel to East Carolina to take on number 17. They did knock off East Carolina last season. Week 7, they take on number 1 Georgia. Let's be honest, they're not going to beat Shark. But the rest of the schedule is actually very, very favorable to them because they avoid most of the big dogs in the other crossover games. They do have Tulsa, they do have Tulane, but those are games that they can manage to win. And if they do, they could easily knock East Carolina off its top spot and take it for themselves. Next up is Temple. Predicting Temple will go 6-6 this season. Uh, they had a pretty good run last year where they were in the race almost the entire way. They have linebacker Racy Jernigan, who's an elite linebacker who tackles like Ray Lewis, and a true freshman left tackle in Wilkins, who blocks, who is one of the best pass blockers in the whole conference. They finished 500 with the third best record in the division, and the reason is entirely out of conference. They get Western Michigan, Indiana, Bama, Colorado, and Washington State, Gittle. That's 4 games against better teams. The league season is fine, the calendar isn't. Coming up next is South Florida. South Florida has a really good quarterback in Michael Durbin. Durbin has had a pretty good career so far, as you can see here, where he's thrown for over 4,000 yards in each season. He will need to cut down on his interceptions if South Florida is going to make a magical run here. Um, quarterback, cornerback George Madeira is an elite corner, along with safety Cherry, who's solid and unspectacular, but they do get the job done. This is a team that will likely finish 6-6, but could make a run for 8-4, and could also aim for that top spot in the division if they can just get lucky enough to get a hole shot. I don't see it happening, and but the Bulls will at least make life interesting for the rest of the division. Rounding this out is Central Florida. Central Florida is a frustrating one. They are a team that on paper should be pretty good, but their offensive line is going to make life really, really hard for them. They have 8 wide receivers that are averaging over 86, included David Avery, a 90 rated left tackle in Alcorn, and a true freshman quarterback in Daniel Woodruff, who has a superb arm and superb accuracy. That should be a 9-win roster for any team. They host Ohio State and UCLA in a 3-week span and also draw Houston and Tulane. Nobody in this conference has a worse stretch. And if they can win at least 2 of those games, they could challenge for the top of the division. Rounding out this division will be Cincinnati. Cincinnati, ever since DWK left it, is a team that has been on the slide. They have 69 prestige with a 74.6 average, and they're headed in the opposite direction. The offensive line is horrible. The reputation hasn't caught up to the roster. And for this reason, I think that they are going to either finish 2-10 or 0-12. Now let's find ourselves over to the West Division. The West Division conversation starts with SMU, Tony's team. Predicting SMU will go 8-4, 6-2. The best roster in the conference. Quarterback Clifford Fitzgerald is an elite quarterback with elite intelligence, elite accuracy, a top 5 profile anywhere in this league. And the room behind him averages superb. So an injury doesn't end their season. Sophomore edge Cecil Mayo is an elite rusher. They also have 2 tight ends who are elite tight ends, starting with Gregory Foy. They go 8-4 with the best roster because the schedule opens against Auburn and Invisible Witness and includes road trips to Tulane and East Carolina. However, if Tony can pull it all together, they potentially could go 11-1. Up next is Houston. Houston is an unpopular pick for me, but I can't ignore how good they are. I'm predicting Houston will go 8-4, the highest prestige in the conference at 76, and the most physical front, 9 linebackers who rate above average, 7 ends at well above average. Quarterback Aiden Williams has a 96 accuracy. They close at home against Tulane, Memphis, and East Carolina, which is the best late season setup in the league, and this is why they'll challenge SMU for the league for the division's top end. But I don't see them getting it, mostly just because there are 2 other teams that are going to make their life absolutely miserable. And let's talk about one of those 2 now. Anytime Invisible Witness is in your conference, you need to pay attention. He is absolutely one of the best coaches around. And Tulsa is a team that everybody is sleeping on. The computer model thinks that Tulsa will go 5-7. I think it's dead wrong. I think they're going to go 7-5 or 8-4. Part of that reason has to do with James Blue. James Blue is an elite quarterback transfer from Georgia. As you can see, he's now entering his 2nd year. In his 5th year overall, in Tulsa, will he put up pretty good numbers last season in limited action. A former 5-star quarterback, he may be the difference maker. And any time you play against Invisible Witness, you're getting defense. He brings the defense. Joseph Luttrell and William Monroe are 2 names to get to know. This is a team that can absolutely wreak havoc on the rest of it. The main concern with them not doing better is they probably have one of the hardest schedules in the whole conference. They start off against Free Gorilla in Wyoming, take on Van and USC next, then pull Army at home. Army on the road. They get Memphis on the road, East Carolina at home, and then they end with SMU on the road. That is a tough schedule. And that's one of the reasons why I don't know that I see them winning this division, but they will surely be up there at the end of the season. The other team to keep an eye on is Gitter's Tulane. I'm predicting they could go 9-3 and have the second best record in the conference. Um, they'll have the best out of conference record, but they're still probably going to finish third in the division. The whole story of the American in one line. Their non-conference draw is Toledo, Oregon State, Wake Forest, and Purdue. The softest four-game set anyone here has, and they should win all of it. The problem is going to be once they make it into conference, can their elite edge rush and elite offensive line, especially on the edges, help them compensate for some pretty strong teams that actually may have a better roster. They probably will start a true freshman in Steven Sturgeon. He has an elite arm, elite accuracy. He's going to throw to another true freshman in Solomon Moore, who's also an elite wide receiver. That pairing is a 2-year problem for this division. But I think the schedule in conference is going to be what may hurt them. Keep an eye on this team because they could easily challenge SMU for the top spot. Another team that a lot of people probably are sleeping on is Memphis. This is Van's team. Memphis may have one of the best players in the whole game on defense. And we'll talk about that in a second. I'm predicting they'll go 7-5. They have Justin Coates, who's an elite free safety, definitely the highest rated player in the conference and maybe one of the highest rated free safeties in the entire game. And 10 corners averaging essentially over 85, which is a superb defensive backfield. The offensive line is kind of meh in the defense, so the defense will probably spend a lot of time on the field unless Paul Wentz or Antoine Thibault can actually get the defensive off the field. If they can, this could be a magical season for Memphis and for Van as they make a run at the conference title. Unfortunately, there has to be one team that's going to get pretty much beaten up by everybody, and that's going to be Navy this year. Navy last year had a really spectacular season. This year, I think they're going to come in at 4-8. There's a lot to like about Navy. It's just in a conference, literally, where you have 5 other teams who are all showing really, really well. One team's got to be on the outside looking out, and I think that's going to all unfortunately be Navy. You see, they open with Texas Tech. They have a favorable schedule from playing different teams at home. They get Virginia Tech, which is Bama, my Hawaii team, and then at Duke. And that's one of the reasons why they're going to struggle this season, even though out of conference schedule is pretty harsh. So what does the title game look like? So East Carolina Army should represent the East. Let's just call it East Carolina right now. But honestly, any of the 4 teams could be standing in there. I think SMU still wins it, but it could be Tulsa, could be Tulane, could be Memphis, could be Houston. But let's go with SMU because I got to pick a team. At the end of the day, probably nobody is making it into the playoffs out of this conference. If they do, it'll likely be SMU or Tulane. I don't see 2 teams making it this year. It'll probably just be one, if any. Tulane has a chance to go 9-3, which is pretty special. If Tony can pull a run, he makes it in. We all remember Army's heartbreak last season, where they lost in the conference championship and were knocked out, and Tony's ecstatic glee at knocking off Army and making it into the playoffs. The reality for the American Athletic, the math is brutal and structural. SMU, Tulane, Houston, East Carolina, Tulsa, Memphis, Army, are all strong teams, but somebody has to lose in this conference. By December, all 4 will have likely beaten up on each other, and they will drop their records. To me, the game that really is going to decide the conference is Houston's last game against East Carolina. There's a real chance that the game is for the West, the East, and the conference championship berth all at once, but the reality is whoever loses that game is going to help another team win the ability to make it into the conference championship. And if you want to watch one player to watch in this league, it's got to be Fitzgerald at SMU. His elite accuracy, intelligence is a national caliber quarterback playing in a conference that's going to spend the season canceling itself out. Up next is the AAC, with second best roster in the conference belongs to an unranked team. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoy the video.